What's going on? Am I live? I think I'm live. I hope I'm live. I hope I'm live. What's going on? All right, what's going on, everybody? Give me 1 second. Can you hear me? Is my volume okay out there? Can somebody let me know if my volume is okay out there? Okay, you can hear me. All right, wonderful, wonderful. All right, wonderful. So she can hear me. Yes, yes. All right, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much for letting me know my audio is good and crisp. I appreciate that. Give me 1 second to get this up and running. Okay, here we go. All right, so today is Friday. Today's Friday. What's today's date? 25th. All right. Blessed to see another day as usual. How y'all doing? My name is Marvin. I am a multiple cancer survivor. And welcome to the Cancer Silent Killer Awareness Network, where we talk about everything that relates to cancer. All right, start up a bill. I don't mind paying. Yeah, so yeah, thank you for hopping in. Whether you hopping in on a live or you seeing this after it's been recorded. I'm gonna say I'm a multiple cancer survivor. That's come on here a couple times a week, 2 3 times a week, to talk about cancer and to try to um shine a light on what's going on in the world of cancer. Especially as far as recovery. Use my situation as a message board or an example to let people know, how cancer is, the experiences, recovering from it, especially because that's what I'm going through at the moment is the recovery stage. Not only the recovery stage, because I just underwent chemotherapy a few months back, but also the prep phase for another procedure that I'm going to do, which is a bone marrow transplant. Yeah, bone marrow transplant is scheduled for me in the middle of next month. So, as my situation continues, I share it to try to uplift anybody that's going through the same situation or are curious and want to know about cancer or anything cancer related. It might be your first time hearing about certain things today, or you might hear about something that what I'm saying you've experienced or a family member has experienced before. But basically, pretty much everything cancer. You know what I'm saying? So I like to start off by saying, uh, because of my situation, my experiences, blood donation is very important to me. So I like to always try to remember to start off by saying, if you have ever donated blood before, thank you very much for your donation. If you ever considered it, please do. Bone marrow donation also, because I'm about to do a bone marrow transplant. And before getting into these kinds of situations, I never knew how important blood was to um, I never knew how important blood was to the average cancer patient. I mean, and not only cancer patient need blood, but the average cancer patient like myself needs blood um, almost on a daily basis just to stay alive. You know what I'm saying? We need blood and platelets on a daily basis just to stay alive, especially right after the chemo, right after undergoing chemo, you're gonna need blood on a daily basis. Currently, I go to the cancer center and I get blood once, twice a week. I get a nice size, nice, decent size of blood once, twice a week, and pretty much every day I go, which is 3 times a week. I get a bag of platelets, also, and I do that 3 times a week. That is like religiously, because I went today, and my platelets were down to 10,000. Once you below 20,000 platelets, the cancer center requires you to get a blood transfusion, a platelet transfusion, which platelets are important because it clots your blood, right? Platelet clots your blood, meaning if you get a cut, that scab that heals from that cut comes from your platelets, right? Now, my body was damaged because of my cancer, and because of cancer and the chemo, I got a blood cancer, bone marrow cancer. So between the cancer and the chemo, it tore up my ability to make new cells. My bone marrow was damaged. So because of that, I need platelets on a daily basis because I am not able to make them, right? I cannot make any platelets. So I have to go to the cancer center 3 times a week and get a blood transfusion of platelets. And if I don't do that, it's obvious all my platelets will get used up or die off because cells have an expiration date. I think platelets live for maybe 10 to 12 days in your body. Um, so that's why, that's not only why, but besides them dying off, you use them up within the daily activities. And, you get cuts and bruises that you don't even know about, and they get used up. So on a daily, every other day, my platelets count is 10,000 or below. And so because of that, I have to always go to the cancer center and get platelets every 3 times a week. So this is why blood donation is so important to me. So I come on here and I share my experiences, and I just want to always remind everybody to to give blood, because it is the most important reason why I am alive today. Because I had cancer, yes, and I did chemo, but if I don't have the blood in my body to recover, meaning blood carries oxygen, nutrients, all of that stuff throughout your body. If I'm not able to, if I don't have any blood or platelets in my system, if my platelets get too low, it'll cause me to have blood pressure issues. Like, there's so many different things that the blood and platelets regulate, that you'd be surprised of how often, or how quick they need to be replenished. And that's why your body is designed to make so many cells so often. And yeah, what's up, my son, the young ruler? What's up, boy? This is why the body requires, that's why the body replenishes all the cells so quickly and so often, you know what I'm saying? Because of what might happen to you, whatever, internally or externally. So if it wasn't for the blood, you understand what I'm saying? You're real serious. I know sometimes you hear preachers talk about the blood of Christ. Like, to me, this is like the most important thing in my life, is the ability to get a blood transfusion once or twice, and some platelets every other day. Because if not for that, then I wouldn't be here today. And you know what I'm saying? Because as I go in, if your blood is below 8, they give you a blood transfusion. But if I don't get that transfusion, I'm gonna keep dropping. So there's no way that I can recover from chemotherapy. You know what I'm saying? If I don't, there's no way I can recover unless I have enough blood and platelets to carry around the nutrients. If I don't have blood, I'm tired. So there's a lot of side effects that comes with me not having. I don't have no energy. There's a lot of side effects that come with not having enough blood, that it can really be harmful to you. So for me, if it wasn't for the blood and my first, hey dad, looking good and strong. Yes, my son, I mean, my son could tell you, when I first came out the hospital, I looked trash. I looked like I was, I make a joke about it, but I looked like I was kidnapped for about 2 years by some, you know what I'm saying, by the enemy. I was caught behind enemy lines that they didn't feed me for like 2 years. I looked terrible. Like all they fed me was sugar and water just so I wouldn't die. You know what I'm saying? Like I looked terrible. You know what I'm saying? And here I am today, and my son is a witness to that. I feel good. You know what I'm saying? As he's saying, I look good everywhere I go. Everybody's telling me, "Oh, you got that bounce. You're getting your swagger back." We walk with a little bop to us, and I'm getting told, like, you know what I'm saying, I'm getting my swagger back. So, you know what I'm saying? It feels good to hear that. You know what I'm saying? So please, continue to share the good news with anybody that's going through something, especially cancer, because it's a hell of a thing to deal with. You know what I'm saying, a lot of times. So definitely want to make sure I cover that, because if it wasn't for the blood, like I said, I wouldn't be here today. So please donate some blood if you ever thought about it. If you do donate, please continue to donate. Platelets is a must. Blood is a must. And now I'm undergoing this next procedure, which is a bone marrow transplant. And the reason for the bone marrow transplant is because I had um, previously encountered cancer in 2021. It came back a year and a half later. So now we need to do something different, because obviously what we did at first didn't work. So here I am, you know, about to do this bone marrow transplant, and I'm excited. I'm happy, you know what I'm saying, to get a chance to live, to try to get a chance to regain some kind of normalcy in my life. That's like, that's everything to me at the moment, and my family as well, because, it's yesterday was my wife's birthday, and we couldn't really go anywhere, you know what I'm saying, and celebrate, because I can't be exposed to anything. So in a public area, going out to eat, anything like that, if we're not masked up and, like, have room between us, then there's no way I can participate. And I'm about to undergo my bone marrow transplant, so I have to be very, very careful not to harm myself, right? Not to, and she has to be careful as well. Everybody got to be careful that they don't get me sick, and I got to be careful I don't go somewhere where I get myself sick. So, you know, for the next 2 weeks, everything is shut down. Even after the treatment, I have to be in the hospital for about almost a month, 2 to 3 weeks, and then after that, 6 to 8 months before I can recover again. So the process continues, but I'm always glad to come on here whenever I have the energy. Whenever I have enough energy to sit here and share with you guys. It's always a pleasure. All right, so um, we want I want to talk about something I read earlier about a basketball player. I know a lot of y'all, especially, you know what I'm saying, us men, know a basketball player named Dwayne Wade. I am sure by me saying that I didn't know that he had cancer. Dwayne Wade had cancer in 2023, right? Um, this and I don't like to bring I don't like to bring certain things up or make too much a big deal out of it. But one of the reasons why this is important is because Dwayne Wade is an athlete. Dwayne Wade played in the NBA for I don't know how long, college ball, high school ball. He's an athlete. I mean, these guys are in like the tip top shape. He's not somebody that I'm familiar with or heard of that is a drinker or you know participate in certain things. So when you look at somebody like Dwayne Wade, the basketball player for Miami Heat, and it turns out that he had kidney cancer, right? You're looking at yourself like, what I'm saying, how is this possible? And this just goes to show you that, you know, everybody is not immune, you know what I'm saying? And cancer affects everybody differently. Somebody that might not be in as good as a health as him probably wouldn't have got this kidney cancer. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Maybe it's something hereditary. But the fact that Dwayne Wade um had cancer is like, come on, this is a NBA athlete that's always healthy, got all the money in the world, and that's another thing. Cancer don't care about color, your pockets, don't care about none of that. It's coming for you. And I think I don't know who it was. One of those big guys. I'm not Steve Jobs, whoever created. I think it's the guy that has something to do with Microsoft. He passed away of cancer. I think a couple years ago. And these guys got millions and billions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? And that's is just mind boggling to know that your money don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Cancer is that equalizer. You understand what I'm saying? Cancer is that equalizer that money doesn't matter. It's coming. If it's coming for you, if it gets a hold of you, you better pray that you find out about it early and you're able to do something about it. And especially before it starts spreading, right? Because majority of cancer death happens after the cancer has spread to somewhere else, right? So well, I can still see the video in my head. Oh, so my wife is making mention to the video um, that she can still see in her head that I took because I wanted to share what I was going through, what experience I was going through, because at the time I didn't post because I couldn't. I was just unable to because of what the chemo, the rice chemo that I did this time. It just tore me down, and I was like non-responsive, and I was out of it for a while. So when I was able to like regain my strength to even stand and walk, you know what I'm saying, by myself, I dropped to like I went from like 180, 185 to like one, I think 40. I was in the 40s, so I lost like about 50 pounds. And I looked like, at first I told my wife I looked like SpongeBob SquarePants because it was just a square, you know what I'm saying? All you seen was two skinny little legs and just a square where my chest is at. And it's like, I was like, I want to take a video because I'm about sharing my experiences because, you never know what somebody else can take from this. And this is why I do this. I wanted to share my experience of how, you know what I'm saying, I looked at the time and it was terrible. One day I'm gonna post the video. One day I'm gonna get brave enough and post that video. But I'm telling you, it looked like I was kidnapped for 2 years and not I know and I wasn't fed. It was just bones and skin and bones. I looked terrible. You know what I'm saying? So I haven't, you know, I'm not able to show it as yet, but hopefully I'm gonna show it soon. You know what I'm saying? You never know what I might feel like because sometimes I could be an impulsive individual and I might just post it. But it's y'all gonna laugh when y'all see it. Best believe that. It's funny because I die laughing every time I see it and I joke about it because it just and it's funny and all that because I could look at myself now and see where I am in my progression in my um recovery and be like, damn, that dude looked it like you know, because what I'm saying, of where I am today. So, I'm blessed. That's one thing you gotta know about me. I'm blessed to be here and this is just an experience for me to share with somebody else to see if it can help them, It's like so yeah, Dwayne Wade has kidney cancer. Craziest thing. Craziest thing. And the reason he found out he had kidney cancer is because um, his father, Dwayne Wade Sr., had a prostate cancer diagnosis. Right, his father has a prostate cancer diagnosis, so he went in and got checked up, and that's the kind of response you expect somebody to have, right? That is concerned about their well being in their situation. Especially if you know that your father, which that is like a photocopy of you, has a particular cancer. Now, Dwayne Wade ended up with kidney cancer, but his father was diagnosed with prostate cancer, right? So I don't know how, what I'm saying, that happens where, He didn't get prostate cancer, but he ended up with kidney cancer. So, that's like I said, I don't know how does that happen, but because of his father's diagnosis, he went ahead and got himself checked out to see if, a simple checkout. I got to do more research to find out how exactly. Um, it was a follow up with his doctor. So I don't know if it was by blood. Definitely, it might have been because the kidney. You can feel, what I'm saying. There was a mass on his kidney. So I don't know if they felt the mass. I don't know if they went through a um some kind of scan to see inside his body, to see his organs, to see the mass, or they found out in his blood. There's many ways to find out if you have a mass of something is cancerous. So, ain't no telling how he figured it out. Gotta do some more research to further it, but um that's what he did because his father's diagnosis. Now, that is, like I said, the proper response. And sometimes we have to be the one to like push start the whole situation. I always say, if you're a father and your son see you go to the hospital. I mean, not go to the hospital, but go get a yearly checkup. Go get a urine test, go get a blood test. If your kids know that that's a part of your lifestyle, so when they get to your age, they're going to automatically do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to set the example for the family, um, especially in the time that we're in, because cancer's been around forever, but certain chemotherapy didn't come around until I think in the 70s, which was like an accident. I think they was in the lab trying to make nuclear weapons, and something got knocked over, and the way the body reacted to it, they was like, "Oh, you could probably use this to treat something." So this is how chemotherapy was never like the main. There was never study in a way to cure cancer. Why they came up with chemo? It was an accident. It was literally a accident in the lab where people got exposed, and it actually shrink the lymph nodes in the body, and it's like, okay, well, we can use it for this, and that's been the main way of dealing with cancer is through chemo. So everything is new. Cancer research is basically new. You know what I'm saying? Just because there is a treatment, that doesn't mean that it's been around for decades, or it's basically new. Then they have new things. Hey, what's up, man? Of course I gotta keep the faith. I gotta keep the faith because I gotta be around for you. You know what I'm saying? I gotta be around for you, and watch you grow. You know, go through your phase. You got so many phases and so many phases left. So best believe you're at the peak. You're at the best part of your life. So I definitely want to be around to see you. Go to that next level and just crush everything. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep the faith. Your son ain't going nowhere. Best believe that. So yeah. Sometimes this happens, y'all. It's called chemo burn, where I totally like forget what I'm talking about. So, but we were talking about how the effect of Dwayne Wade's cancer diagnosis, and so he had to get 40% of his kidney removed, right? So underwent surgery, and now he's doing okay. But like I said, just the whole fact of by his father being diagnosed, he went and followed up. So start it up. If it's not, especially if it's hereditary, especially if it's like his father, that's close as it gets, and he went and got checked up. Now, if his father wasn't diagnosed, by him going and getting checked out, that's a good example he's setting for his sons to know that, oh, once I hit my 30s and 40s, I gotta start making these tests. I gotta start checking up because, like I said, Dwayne Wade is an NBA athlete. Like there's no way that he should have cancer, but for some reason, it happens. You know what I'm saying? It's unbelievable. It happens. Um, yeah, that is so. So yeah, he had it. Another person, I think last year, that had experience with cancer was Randy Moss, another athlete, right? I gotta, you know, go back and do some checking up on him to see, you know what I'm saying, his situation is, to see how he's doing. But Randy Moss, another athlete, receiver, I played football for over 14 years, was diagnosed with a cancer within his, you know, his gallbladder, within his liver, and between those organs, there are tubes that are connected that pass fluid. You know what I'm saying, from one organ to the next. He ended up with cancer in one of those tubes. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get cancer in his liver or his gallbladder or no organ. He got cancer between the duct in the ducts where um, the organs are connected, where they transfer, you know, liquid waste, you know, the stuff to break down the fats in the food that you eat, like the highway basically became cancerous. He ended up with duct bile cancer, right? He also underwent surgery. He's at the time he was waiting to do I think chemo and radiation, right? But the fact that he had cancer again, it's like what? This is an athlete that's been running around for a majority of his life. College 14 years. I mean, pros 14 years. College, high school. Like these guys have been running around all their lives, but still ended up with cancer. And that's just me going over the fact that it could happen to anybody. Cancer can happen to anybody. Nobody is immune to cancer. You know what I'm saying? But the best thing you can do to give yourself a fighting chance is to find out as soon as possible. Early diagnosis is the best way to find out what's going on in your body, especially when it comes to something like cancer, right? Like, you know, and you have to continuously get checked up, you know, eat right, exercise, do all of those things. But and the older you get, the more exposure. The average age of somebody getting cancer is in their 60s, right? It's in their 60s, and as you get older, the chances of you getting cancer increases more and more and more and more. But the average age for cancer, the getting cancer is about 66. You know what I'm saying? So as you get older, obviously, it's more exposure. Now, the average is 60. That means half is on the other side of 60, and the other half is before 60. You know what I'm saying? So, age doesn't matter. I'm sure you were of kids getting cancer. Um, you know, cancer doesn't matter. Rest in peace. A friend of mine passed away recently, and he was in his 30s. Right? He was undergoing his treatment, and you know who you are. You know what I'm saying, rest in peace and condolences to your family. Me and my wife pray for you all the time. He passed away, and he's in his 30s. He was undergoing treatment. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure exactly what happened in his situation, but cancer has no. And another friend of mine who's also in his 30s, early 40s, young guy, also, I run into them at the cancer center. Majority of the people at the cancer center are, you know, older, but you see a couple of people that are, you know, my age, which it was just in their 30. Well, not 30, my 30s, even though I might look like, you know, still in my 30s, but no, I'm in my 40s. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people that, you know, are of that age group, you know, still Dwayne Wade, I think, is early 40s. Randy Moss was 49 when he got diagnosed. So do not think like you're invincible. And that was one of my problems. I thought I was invincible. right? I really thought I was invincible to certain things because my whole life I've always been like, very, very athletic, and much the strongest person that you might know, the person that eats the best or that takes care of his body. Like when people find out that I had cancer, it's like they couldn't believe it, and it was like, well, if he can get cancer, well, anybody can. So sometimes, me having cancer kind of like woke up friends of mine to be like, okay, well, damn, like I said, if he get cancer, then it's possible for me to get it. So sometimes somebody gotta sacrifice themselves so others can, see better. You know what I'm saying, and plan better for the future. And I take on that. You know, I take it on. Sometimes I say, sometimes I say I go through things because if somebody else would have attempted what I had to go through, they would not have made it. And I've been told that a couple times, and I feel that, what I'm saying, that is true. So every day I get up, what I'm saying, I know I'm not fighting for just myself. You know what I'm saying, I'm fighting for a lot of people as well. And by doing this live, this podcast is my way of, of giving back everything that was given to me. But yeah, man, cancer does not care who you are, how much money you got, what color you is, what country you was born in. Like, all of that doesn't matter. Okay, now lifestyle does matter, right? Lifestyle does matter because, you know, if you're putting a lot of things in your body that's gonna affect your cell and how they grow, then obviously you're gonna be exposed even earlier. You know what I'm saying? So you cannot. Lifestyle does matter, but your money don't matter. Like, you can still eat good and you can still get exposed. Oh, thank you, son. This is Cancer Silent Killer Awareness Network. This is what we trying to do. Spread the awareness. My son, I know once he gets to a certain age, he's gonna make sure, like, yo, I go get myself checked out. Shit, he even might be doing it now. Who knows? But you know what I'm saying? I'm glad that I can be an example for him to, like, see, like, all right, once I get to certain age, this, and this. And I'm sure, he's gonna influence his friends also to, what I'm saying? So this is how we start. This is how we start something, start to make change, because like I said, it hasn't been long since these things are out to help with cancer. Like, cancer research just recently started developing methods to fight cancer that are actually, like, designed to help the body, like going through building up your immune system to better fight cancer rather than just wiping everything out. You know what I'm saying? That just became possible recently within the last 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Or within the last 10 years, even so. You know what I'm saying? So we should be excited and be in a positive mindset when our approach with how we take care of ourselves, because there's research going on that is coming up with ways that really target the immune system, and that's way much more better than throwing some crazy ass mixture of chemicals that's gonna, have severe side effects afterwards, and just basically was not initially intended for, for curing cancer. So, positive mind is very important. This is why this podcast is called the Energy Transfer, because I hope and I pray that you can pick up on my energy. You know what I'm saying? If your energy is not, where it's supposed to be, or in a good place, and feed off of that, feed off of my energy. A man that was skin and bones a month ago has, you know what I'm saying, so much presence in a voice that where you can like take something away from it. You know what I'm saying? So, it's like I said, man. It's always good to be able to share. You know what I'm saying? It's always good to be able to let y'all know what's going on, so somebody out there can benefit from my experiences. Because nobody knows what tomorrow may bring, and at least I can say that, what I'm saying, I left something so, what I'm saying, others can benefit from, you know. Another thing I want to talk about is right, the spreading, right? The spreading of cancer. So there's been research, and like I said, there's been research and ongoing research of how to deal with certain things, and it seems as if um, through certain recent research, that aspirin, something as simple as aspirin, is able to help in a fight against cancer. Aspirin, and this experiment that I read up on, this research at the moment is in they're doing it in mice, right? But if you're not aware, humans and mice have similar DNA, similar chromosomes. So as they do experiments on these mice, you can see how certain things can apply to a human. So based on these experiments that they're doing on these mice, it seems as if, and a lot of people notice how aspirin can affect the platelets in your body, right? The things that clots the blood. A lot of people, if you have blood clots or certain issues, they tell you to take aspirin so you have less of a chance of a blood clot, right? So it seems as if that non-clotting ability that aspirin provides is what is helping your cells fight off other cells, right? So what I'm saying is, when you get cancer, there's a chance that the cancer can spread and go all over your body. Your best bet of treating yourself is getting to the cancer before it spread, because once it spreads, then you have a higher chance of not recovering, right? So when you take this aspirin and your blood is not allowed to be clot, it stops your T cells from being suppressed. You gotta forgive me, feeling kind of nauseous. Feeling a little bit nauseous, y'all. Not gonna lie to you. And this is part of it. It's part of the daily ritual that comes with the recovery. I take my nausea pills. I do whatever I have to. I do everything I have to so I could be here, so I could do this. And sometimes like I said, I'm just feeling nauseous. So give me a second. Let me collect myself. So yeah. Um. So right. So the aspirin, like this, like I said, the reason they give you aspirin sometimes is so that your blood won't clot. Well, it seems as if by your blood not clotting so much, right? It allows a certain protein not to be released, and this protein that is released suppresses your T cells, right? Your T cells are the cells in your body as a part of your immune system that fights off diseases, anything foreign that comes into your body, right? So by your body going into its normal mode and producing this clot, it prevents your T cells from killing cancer cells that move, I'm saying, throughout the body. Your body's able to kill cancer cells, right? Oh, I'm okay. So I'm not trying to endorse anything. I'm just trying to you know, share some research that things are actually changing, and it just so happens that something simple as so it's not that difficult to deal with certain things. So you know, research. We don't endorse any product or anything like that. We're not into that. But the ability to stop. Yeah, yeah, we're definitely not endorsing. That's like not what we're trying to do here. We're just trying to share information. So the ability to stop the blood from clotting, you know, releases your T cells to not be suppressed, right? And it allows it to go around and to kill any cancer cells that move around the body, because the T cells have the ability to kill cancer cells, but because of how fast, what I'm saying, the cancer cells can multiply, and sometimes the T cells don't recognize these cells as cancerous because they're your own cells. And sometimes if your T cells are not reprogrammed to attack a certain cell in your body or to see it as foreign, it's not going to automatically do it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if it's through the migration of the cancer cells and the amount of cells that might migrate. Um, your T cells is able to kill it, but your body is capable of killing cancer cells. It's just that sometimes it multiplies at such a rate that you're not able to, and sometimes your T cells will not recognize it um, as a foreign agent to take it out. So it seems as if by you not and by the blood not clotting, it doesn't release a certain protein, and it doesn't suppress the cell. So I say that to just share, what I'm saying, what's going on in the world. And if you can minimize the spreading, first of all, you need to definitely be there as soon as something wrong, to find out and get on top of it. But just to share what's going on and how there's actually being, and to be honest with you, because the way they found out about this was accidental. They didn't intentionally. They wasn't trying to. It was an accident. Like they would due to the research, it just so happened to stumble upon this as a way to have an effect on the T cells, on the platelets. So even though this is not a direct um research, right? This probably wouldn't is not helping my point of now there being specially research designed to find out about cancer. It's still it's still a benefit to how you know we can have an effect on cancer and how the body works. And it's amazing how the body works, to know that, okay, well, if you can turn this off and turn this on, and you know what I'm saying, and you can actually like eliminate certain things. So that is a great thing that we are able to, what I'm saying, do. Right now, like I said, I'm currently awaiting to do my bone marrow transplant, which, like I said, is in about 3 weeks. They want to do it this week, right? They wanted to do my bone marrow transplant this week because my doctor was saying my recovery. They was like, "Oh, you recovered real well. Like, what I'm saying, you're looking real strong." Blah blah blah. Boom, we're gonna do it at on the 24th. You know what I'm saying? Which would have been this weekend. But because I'm getting the cells from a donor, I have to wait to make sure that the donor is available um, at this time, so I could get the donor cells, because the donor cells has to be extracted like a day before before they get transfused into me. So I'm waiting for the second week. And in the meantime, I'm doing, there's a lot of stuff that has to be done. In the meantime, there's a lot of checks. You got to check your respiratory system. You got to check, the heart, check the lungs. Uh, there's so many things that has to like get checked off, because this bone marrow transplant is way tougher than the chemotherapy that I've done before. I'm told that I'm going to be way more susceptible to getting sick than I was with the chemo. So basically, I'm not going to have no immune system, because the procedure calls for them to wipe out my immune system to make room for for the donor's immune system, and the less chance of my body rejecting the donors, because there could be a process of where the donor cells see my own cells and my own organ as foreign and attack them, or my cells might see the donor cells and attack them. So if we get rid of my cells, there's less chance of my body rejecting the transplant. So I'll be getting a series of drugs to help with that part, so my body doesn't reject the cells, and everything happens at a lower risk. You know what I'm saying? At a low risk. But I even had an appointment with I had to do physical training. You know what I'm saying? I had to go in there. I think it was yesterday. Things happen so often, and on a daily basis. It's like sometimes I forget how quick or how recent. Like next week, I have to go to the cancer center. I got an appointment with somebody like every day of the week. I gotta go somewhere else, see a gastro doctor this day, get treatment that day. Like 5 day a week, I'm gonna have to be running up and down. But I had to undergo physical therapy, right? And I'm blessed because when I went in there, the trainer was like, they do their little test, the evaluation test, test the legs, push this way, push that way, test the arms. Like, oh, you're pretty strong, even though you only been out the hospital for a month. You know what I'm saying? And that's just my God given ability to rehab. I think that's what my superpower is my ability to rehab and come back to life. You know what I'm saying? Because during just doing my daily routine, you know what I'm saying? Because I gotta go up and down steps, going to the cancer center 3 times a week. I gotta do a lot of walking. So just being active. I be outside for 2-3 hours sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like just being active, and you know what I'm saying, and not being stationary has put myself into a position where I'm strong enough to undergo this bone marrow transplant. And that's one of the things they try to tell you. Oh, you need to put on weight, you need to do this, you need to make sure you're strong enough, you need to, you know what I'm saying. So it's very important for me to physically be in a position where I can withstand all the, you know what I'm saying, all the complications or all the difficulties I might have to go through to get back on my feet after they do the bone marrow transplant. So you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I think my superpower is my ability to heal, man. I really do believe so. So you know, I'm ready. You feel what I'm saying? And recovery after that is gonna take about 6 months to a year, and then what I'm saying, I'm back to the never be gonna be the old Marv, but I'm gonna be close to back to who I was. You know what I'm saying? So um, you know, it's a blessing, and to have the support system that I have, you know what I'm saying, knowing that, my wife is gonna be there, and my mom's, whoever else is gonna be in that, like, and the doctors, the staff at the hospital that I go to are amazing, right? For everybody from the people that bring me the food, to change the garbage, like everybody that I come encounter with is amazing, and it's important to have a team. My team of doctors are very good. I must have to say, I got some of the best doctors in the world that are concerned about my best interest, and you know what I'm saying. I know they're doing everything in their power to make sure that my situation is successful. So you know what I'm saying. If you're a doctor or studying to be a doctor, you know what I'm saying, my hat go off to you. You know what I'm saying, because it is a very long journey. You know what I'm saying, to get to where you need to be able to make a difference. But trust me, um, it's worth it. My life I'm still here because of that. You know what I'm saying? We need more doctors out there, you know what I'm saying? So let's just put that out there from day one, you know what I'm saying? But a good team is important, man. Good team is important. Good vibes, having a good, You know what I'm saying? Understanding. And please, if you are going through a situation, find out. Open up your browser. I know a lot of people tell you, oh, don't Google this, don't look up. Look it up. Okay? You don't gotta worry about be so consumed with side effects. But you need to understand your disease process. You need to understand what you're diagnosed with. You need to understand, what can affect it. You need to know how your body deals, because cancer affects everybody differently. You know what I'm saying? It affects everybody differently. So you need to know exactly what's going on. So please, don't just, and it's not just with cancer, with anything else, don't just go to the doctor, take what they say, and then, you know what I'm saying, just going about your business. Try to understand, ask questions if you don't understand, but, be active in what's going on. Ah, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And my son came to my rescue. You understand? My son came to my rescue because he heard me crying about me nausea. So guess what? He bought me some nausea pills. Even though I took some earlier today, the body does what the body want. And I went and got platelets today. So sometimes when I get the platelets, I'm getting somebody else's platelets 3 times a week. I'm getting somebody else's blood put into my body. And it just so happens one of the things that you have to sign, that waiver, yeah, that if anything happens to you, they're not responsible. So there's no, at times when you get this blood and platelet for somebody else, you never know what else you could be, attracting or picking up at the time. So by me getting platelets today, I think it might have, caused my body to react a certain way, because even though I take my nausea pills on a daily basis, right now for some reason, I'm feeling extra nauseous. So this is my nausea pill, and you gotta. This one is a fast acting nausea pill. You just pop these under your tongue, and it should dissolve in no time, and be able to help me as fast as possible. So you know, knowing being able to self medicate is very important, man. Knowing how to take care of yourself is very important. So, make sure you know what's going on. Make sure you pay attention. Make sure you ask questions. Make sure you find out your family history. And, it's good to find out about family history before family is no longer here. Because I'm not gonna lie. For this week, I've experienced three deaths. This week, 3 deaths. 3 people passed away around me that I know, or as family, or as close to family. And these deaths were unexpected, like severe, like really unexpected. So, you know, you just got to make the best out of every situation and share. Let your family know what's going on, you know what I'm saying? If you don't feel good, you know what I'm saying, speak on it, share your situation. Let people know what's going on. Don't sit back and hold things in, and then when it comes too late, that's when you want to tell everybody, like, for real, the whole time, you know what I'm saying, you've been sitting at home dealing with this problem, you ain't said nothing. Now you want to say something. And that's bad business. You know what I'm saying? So please be active in your life, in your diagnosis. Please find out what's going on in your body, and make sure that you're here to take care of your loved ones. You know what I'm saying? A couple, people pass away, man, and leave little kids, you know, to grow up without their parents. And that is, to me, like one of the most devastating things that could happen to someone, is to grow without your parents. So please, you know what I'm saying? Let's see how many lives we can save, right? Let's see how many lives we can save, how many people we can actually impact in our journey. You know what I'm saying? So let's see how many people we can have an effect on, to make, what I'm saying, the right decisions in their lives, especially when it comes to cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nobody's fault. You know what I'm saying? Unless, You there smoking cigarettes back to back to back. You know what I'm saying? You drinking heavy, heavy, heavy. Like these, a lot of cancer can be caused by other disease, other, uh, diabetes and high blood, like those things can affect your body's ability to, defend itself, and it also can affect your body's ability to produce, you know what I'm saying, cells or whatnot. So unless you're like, a heavy smoker, a heavy drinker, there's no telling what could happen and when it could happen. So just being active, you know what I'm saying, is what I'm talking about, and that's how important it is. But I am here as an example to show you that, cancer, you can beat it. You know what I'm saying? If it just so happens to come back a year and a half later, there's other things that you can do, and you beat it again. You know what I'm saying? And it just so happens you might need to go through a bone biopsy, bone marrow transplant. So you do that. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it takes, that's the mindset. Whatever it takes. But there are options. That's the greatest thing about, you know what I'm saying, today, is that there are options. You know what I'm saying? Or machine, they can only tell you what's going on right now. They cannot predict the future. Right? They can only tell you, oh, you have this, you might be diagnosed with this. But you don't know what, what I'm saying, these major companies are working on. Trust me, they are working. They are working and trying to come up, because cancer is like one of the biggest life takers out there. Cancer take a lot of lives every year. You know what I'm saying? And half the people worldwide, 50% of the people in this world is going to be diagnosed with cancer. At least 50%. Right? So, you know, this is very important. And I never knew how important this was. I always talk about the fact that, when I was a barber on Jamaica Avenue, when we were in a barber shop, we never spoke about cancer. You know what I'm saying? You would be there I used to be there with elderly men that used to come in and get their hair cut. I had a lot of, you know what I'm saying, friends that passed away. They didn't come this week. 2 weeks go by, you find out, oh, they passed away because of this, they passed away because of that. You know what I'm saying? And we never spoke about it in the barbershop. We never spoke about prostate cancer, even though men like me are so easily to get diagnosed with prostate cancer. You understand what I'm saying? Men like me are very easily diagnosed with prostate cancer. And sometimes when you get diagnosed, but when you find it, sometimes it's too late. Sometimes the symptoms, when you feel the symptoms, to react to the symptoms, it's too late. Simple urine test can tell you how high you are at risk of getting prostate cancer. A simple urine test. Now, can you imagine that? By the time you figure out that you have prostate cancer, it's too late. And half of the time, what they say is prostate cancer don't kill you. It's when it moves to somewhere else in the body. That's what kills you. When it migrates to somewhere else in the body, that is what is the most, the worst part about prostate cancer. Prostate, because if the prostate is cancerous, what you do? You cut it out. Go through radiation. There's things you can do to deal with prostate cancer. But if you don't, you know what I'm saying, get to it in time and it moves somewhere else, now you got a bigger problem. And I'm telling you, majority, 90% of people that pass away from cancer is because they wait too long. And the cancer has moved from one part of the body to the other part of the body. You know what I'm saying? So just being, diligent, just being active, just trying to, to help and share the information, you know what I'm saying? That is going to make a difference. We are still young in this cancer fighting situation. This is still young to us. Still developing new drugs, new therapies, new way to deal with it. So, it just makes sense for us to be actively aware of what's going on. It just makes sense for us to know the signs of what to look for. So as we get older, we're better prepared. We could bring down the number of people that are diagnosed each year and the people that are not here today. and especially the kids, man. Especially the kids. My heart, my heart is affected every time I see one of those commercials. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what chemo do to me, so I could just imagine what chemo do to this little kid that ain't got no choice but to go through it. You know what I'm saying? So just being positive, like I said, having a positive mindset, and this is what this this podcast is about, to share this energy, um, help anybody else out there that need a little boost. Like I always say, put something, hit me in the chat, live or after the video has been published. You can find my email in my own page. Hit me up, let me know what's going on. And I spoke to a young man the other day, and he said his father was dealing with brain cancer. So I hope he's doing okay. And that is I'm glad I was able to make that connection with that young man to help him, understand what's going on or whatnot. So, and that's what we're doing here. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in with me today, tonight, and just listening, about what's going on. So, you can, at some point in time, this information, is helpful or will become helpful. You can share it with a friend, or you could just, speak amongst, whoever, and just kind of like come up with a game plan to make sure that you take advantage of the situation, and, get yourself checked out, get a blood test, get a urine test. Stay on top of yourselves, man. And it's a pleasure to communicate with everybody out there. You know what I'm saying? Whoever gets to witness this information, and you know what I'm saying. I'll be back. Hopefully, not hopefully. I will be back Monday. To do it again, to spread love, and share, and try to empower everybody when it comes to cancer, and update on my situation, and everything that's going on with me. So thank you again for tuning in. Please, if you have, if you do donate blood, please continue to donate. If you haven't thought about it, please do. Thank you for everything that you have donated, because without that, I wouldn't be here today. To enjoy my family, and everything else that comes with life. So thank you, and what I'm saying, I see you Monday. Thank you, everybody in the chat, and your moms, my son, my wife, what I'm saying, everybody else. Appreciate it. Holla at your boy.